I'm Bruce the Blog, and he's Bazzo, and you're watching Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo's Thanksgiving Show. Hello again, everybody, and once again, welcome to Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo's first annual Thanksgiving show, because we've only been on the air since earlier this year. And as you know, we're brought to you by the Penny Saver, and if you notice a lot of things sticking out, it's because all of you who do get the Penny Saver are well aware there's a lot of inserts, especially this time of year, from all kinds of places that want to sell you something, so we hope that you do patronize them. And we're going to get to the usual housekeeping, a lot of holiday plays and musicals and entertainment that we just want to remind you about. But if you're wondering, as I am, why Bazzo has tape over his mouth, that's duct tape, by the way, it's because we thought that what better way to say thanks to our viewers and for you to reciprocate by saying thanks to us than by Bazzo not speaking for an entire show, right? I mean, what better Thanksgiving gift could we give you? So that's why he has tape over his mouth, but something tells me that that's not going to last too long, and it's not because it's not good duct tape either, but you know, he won't be able to restrain himself, and I won't have to sustain the show myself, okay? Very quickly, as far as holiday entertainment, Willy Wonka, the musical Willy Wonka, is still playing this coming weekend at the Yorktown Stage, so you might want to check that out. We encourage you to check it out. I know I'm going to go see it. And by the way, in December, at Yorktown Stage also, the Nutcracker, the perennial holiday treat ballet, the Nutcracker, that, yes, it's a ballet, but it's the most accessible and popular ballet of all time for people of all ages. So that's the Nutcracker also at the Yorktown Stage. And something else, as long as we're talking about high art, so to speak, high performing art. I mean, ballet is high art because, you know, they lift up the ballerina, right? So that's high art. But at the Paramount, and this is something that's a national trend in cities all around the country and towns, they're showing opera, live operas on, you know, big screens in theaters. So at the Paramount on November 27th, Sunday, and November 29th, Tuesday, you could go see the very, very famous opera Carmen by Georges Bizet, and see it live. And so, you know, that's something new and exciting that that you might want to check out as well. And then very quickly, you may have heard, if you watch the show, that I've been in a play, YCP Theater Works putting on The Prisoner of Second Avenue, a Neil Simon play. Well, it turns out we got sort of a reprieve of sorts because two of our performances were canceled on that Sunday of the Halloween storm. So on December 17th at the Hart Library and December 18th at the Hart Library, we're going to put on The Prisoner of Second Avenue for free. You don't have to pay. First come, first serve. And it's 2 p.m. on the 17th and 5 p.m. on the 18th of December. And also, we want to let everybody know that our friends at the winery at St. George in Yorktown, Tom DiChiaro, who owns it, and his brother John DiChiaro, who does a great job programming all the live entertainment and the recorded entertainment. They're doing something brand new, but they're always trying new things, and they're very successful at it. On Thursday, December 8th, they're going to have Shop for the Guys, and on Thursday, December 15th, Shop for the Gals. So you might want to go to their website to check it out. So you can sort of, you know, sample hors d'oeuvres and sip wine and shop for holiday gifts all at the same time. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, they'll have very nice music in the background as well. And that's about it, except for the salute. No, I didn't forget Bazzo. See, Bazzo, he's like a mime. Maybe he can't talk, but he could still make, you know, gestures and stuff like that. Sort of like Buster Keaton or Marcel Marceau, something like that. Anyhow, the salute, and this is a very serious salute. I just attended at the Hudson Valley Hospital Center. It was actually a very moving ceremony to dedicate the new Comprehensive Cancer Center at the Hudson Valley Hospital Center on 202 in Cortland. It's a beautiful facility. Of course, there's a certain bittersweet aspect. You know, I walked in with my boss, Carla Chase, and we were part of a very large crowd of people who were there at the ceremony. Senator Greg Ball spoke. Of course, they had their top flight medical staff, doctors, surgeons were there. It's sad in the sense that we walked in and it's a very spacious facility, the infusion center where people get chemotherapy. And of course, as Carla Chase, acknowledged, and her late father, the founder of the Penny Saver, Mr. John W. Chase himself had cancer. It's sort of sad that there are so many infusion chairs there because it means they need them because there is so much cancer that is part of our world these days, unfortunately. But it's a great new addition to the healthcare in this region. And the Cancer Center is named, and this is very important, and I want to make a strong note about this. It's the Cheryl R. Lindenbaum Comprehensive Cancer Center. Bruce Lindenbaum, who owns Frank and Lindy Plumbing, which I'm sure many of you, as do we, have used, he got up and he spoke. His two sons were there. His late wife's brother was there. And Bruce did a wonderful job, a testament to his late wife, Cheryl. The fact that he's a very successful businessman and he's giving back all this money to, he's one of the hospital's largest benefactors, and that the center is named in his wife's name, the Cheryl R. Lindenbaum Cancer Center, and the salute goes to the whole Lindenbaum family, actually, because that really says something about philanthropy, when you can give back to something that is so necessary as research in medicine, especially for cancer. And so we really want to give a very special Thanksgiving salute to Bruce Lindenbaum and family, and we wish them well, and we thank them on Thanksgiving for giving us the Cheryl R. Lindenbaum Cancer Center, of course, along with Hudson Valley Hospital Center CEO John Federspiel and everybody else there. And Bazzo, let's turn it over to you for your salvo. Do you think you can talk through that duct tape?
Not without having a crack up.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway, our salvo is, after you watch this show on Thanksgiving night at 10 o'clock, the stores will be opening at midnight this year for Black Friday. They're not going to wait till 5. They moved it up to midnight because of the recession. They're trying to get more people in. And every year you read the stories about people getting hurt, pushed, and shoved for that big one sale item. Nothing on sale, nothing you need to buy, nothing is so important that you should hurt another person trying to get to it. I mean, I remember when the Batman movie was out and they had these Batman masks and there was only one left, and this poor old lady, she had her wrist stomped on by somebody else to get that last mask. But I got it for her, and I really think you should just be more respectful of your fellow shoppers and take your time. You'll get what you want, and they do give rain checks.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of Black Friday, a lot of people here are very familiar, and rightfully so, with Augie's Prime Cut Restaurant and Bar, which is in Mohegan Lake.
Great prime rib.
Yeah, prime rib, and of course my friends Audrey and Sal, who own the place, do an unbelievable job of promoting and giving back to their customers. It's not just about promoting for themselves, they give great value. So this show is airing on Thanksgiving night, Thursday, November 24th, I believe. And so starting at midnight tonight, as with all these Black Friday sales, Bazzo, if you go to Augie's at midnight tonight, going through to 7 a.m., you can get, and this is, talk about a great value, a $100 gift certificate for $50. So you're getting, $2 on every dollar you spend to get a great meal at Augie's. Alternately, by the way, you can go to their website through Sunday night at midnight and get it online. So you can do it that way too. But if you want, have some fun and you want to socialize starting at midnight tonight, go over to Augie's, get some gift certificates, step up to the bar, have a drink, etc. And by the way, speaking of Thanksgiving, I hope you don't mind, Bazzo, if I have my my Thanksgiving meal, which is actually a power breakfast, a power sandwich. But right. Okay.
No, we've been very rude
Dennis
to
is
the
going
audience.
crazy in my ear, by
We've
the
been
way.
very rude to the audience.
Oh, we haven't? Oh, yeah, we haven't
introduced
introduced our guest.
Standish.
Yeah, this is our guest, Standish, which I must give due credit. I borrowed from the sales department at Chase Media Group. Chase Media Group, as other companies do, I know this time of year, it's part of the camaraderie and the morale. We have a contest in each department, and we have a lot of departments, for the best Thanksgiving decorations. And so the sales department did a great job, as did the art department. You go into our art department, it's like children of the corn. They have all these corn stalks, like an array on all the cubicles. It's really great looking. But I borrowed Standish from the Chase sales department's Thanksgiving scene, tableau. And I want to point out the salt shakers, which, a Thanksgiving theme, obviously, with the turkey and the male and female pilgrims, are courtesy of Mary Ann DeMassey. Because I have to tell you what happened is there was a whole uproar in the office when they realized they were missing, and they sent out emails, and I'm saying, whoa, I borrowed them. They'll be back. Don't panic, okay? But Mary Ann was very nice in letting us borrow these.
Now, in keeping with Thanksgiving, I'm going to tell you, every year, now people that know me and know who I am.
And you don't mind if I eat my
No, not
Thanksgiving
at all,
sandwich,
because I listen to the Rush Limbaugh show when I can on radio. And every Thanksgiving,
Who?
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, he has a radio show?
Yes,
Oh.
he does.
Oh.
But every Wednesday before Thanksgiving, he does his Thanksgiving show where he tells the true story of Thanksgiving based on John Alden's diaries.
Right.
And as we know, when we went to school, Thanksgiving was the Pilgrims got together with the Indians, and they had the crops, and they shared their big meal with the Indians, with the whole brotherly love thing.
Yes, right.
This is what we're taught in school, that the communal life was the way to go, a socialist life where everybody shares with each other.
Well, they didn't call it socialism back then.
No, they did not. In fact, the original Mayflower Compact said that when everybody would get there, would be sharing the land and the labors, and everything that they produced would be shared equally amongst each other.
And by the way, there's a great Guess Who song, Share the Land. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Okay. Well, what happens, like anything else, is that you had people in the group of pilgrims that decided, if I'm going to get the same amount, why should I expend any labor? So you had other people producing extra work and getting resentful of the ones not doing their share of the work and still sharing. So what happened is that...
Or is it from each according to his ability to each according to his need?
Well,
right?
and this wasn't working because the human spirit, the basic human nature is, I want to, succeed.
Right.
And I want to profit from my success. So they had to rewrite the compact. I mean, this is what happened, is that the people were starving because nobody was producing. So they had to rewrite the compact where people were allowed to keep a certain amount and they could sell to the other members of the community.
The birth of capitalism.
Yes, basically it was the birth of capitalism. And by doing that, they had their abundance, that they were able to have that first Thanksgiving with the Indians and all that.
With their bounty.
That bounty
Yes.
was from the result of capitalism, not socialism. And people should understand that the true Thanksgiving that you're taught in school is just propaganda. And you should do your own research. The John Alden diaries are out there, and you can get them right online and read them.
Yeah, and by the way, it occurs to me, if anybody, for some reason, got like a stomach virus after eating it, and they, regurgitated, I guess that would be mutiny on the bounty, wouldn't it?
This could very well be true.
Yeah, okay. But what I want to also point out, getting, again, serious for a moment, is that there's an interesting book. Now,
I was serious with that story.
Now, the millions of people watching the show now, already had their Thanksgiving meal, right, for 2011 at least. But maybe for 2012 you want to make note of this. This is a very interesting little book over here called The Thanksgiving Ceremony by a gentleman. Okay. By a gentleman. I wish the camera would stop moving, Dennis, really. Can you make it? I know. Can you make it? There, here we go. Okay. That's my version of duct tape on my mouth. The Thanksgiving ceremony by Edward Blyer. I happen to know this gentleman from my previous life in the entertainment business. He was an executive at ABC and Warner Brothers. But he compiled as much as wrote, a very interesting book. And what he's basically proposing here is that people, not unlike, really an analogy is the Passover Seder, when you have a religious or ritual, a meal, that you have a brief ceremony at Thanksgiving to really codify, and especially for the younger generations, to appreciate that it's not just about football and not just about Black Friday and consumerism, but there is, as you just described, Bazzo, a very significant historical context for Thanksgiving and why we celebrate it every year. I mean, there's a great line in here. William Safire wrote the foreword. Now, William Safire, who I sort of grew up with, he went to my alma mater, Syracuse. He was a Nixon speechwriter, author, among other phrases, of one of the most famous and memorable, that Spiro Agnew, Nixon's vice president, spoke, "Natering nabobs of negativism." A great alliteration that obviously survives to this day. But William Safire had a very successful later career as the language columnist for the New York Times. He was an op-ed columnist. But anyhow, so he's a great wordsmith. He actually writes about words as well as uses them very effectively, or used to, since he has passed away.
It's tough to write when you're dead.
Well.
Dead letters.
Yeah, it becomes a very grave profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goes to the dead letter office.
Right. But he says that Thanksgiving is not just a family holiday; it's the holiday of families, which I think is a great way of putting it. It's not a religious holiday, but something. It's sort of a quasi-religious holiday, because we do pay homage to our forebears, as we talk about. The Mayflower and the Pilgrims and Plymouth Rock.
When I was in the restaurant business in the city, one of the last places I worked was a neighborhood bar. And not everybody has family to go to for various reasons, whether it be distance or being estranged. And we would open the place on Thanksgiving. And my business partner, Tommy, would cook up a turkey dinner at the house. He would make turkey. We would have collard greens. That was big.
Cranberry.
The whole thing with collard greens.
Dennis is reminding us about the cranberry. By the way, remember, I don't want to interrupt you, even though I am. Remember, Dennis, once again, I'm talking to my invisible friend Dennis, folks. Remember years ago there was a cranberry, it wasn't botulism, they had a Vichyssoise botulism, but something with cranberries. I remember that one Thanksgiving, like they told you not to eat cranberries, there was some poison in them, but anyhow.
But anyway, what we would do is we would give the buffet away. So people had a place to go on Thanksgiving, and it was important because it gave people a sense of family, because your neighborhood saloon was like a family.
Yeah.
Everybody knew
Cheers.
each other. In a way, yes.
Right?
Very much in a way, yes. Except they had some place to go and these people didn't.
Right, yes. Yeah.
And so we would do this, and then the price of this buffet, at the time there was an orphanage in the city, Manhattan Development Association. And it was an orphanage for kids that were disabled, mentally or physically. And they had the letters to Santa. And each one of these people that we fed and they could ask for one gift, had to fulfill one of those letters.
Oh.
And bring it to the bar before, because we would have a big party for them the week before Christmas. And we would give them, and one of the bartenders would dress up like Santa Claus, which wasn't me. I had a 29-inch waist in those days. So it wasn't me. And we would give out all these gifts from the people that partook of Thanksgiving,
Right.
that they gave back.
Right.
And they realized, as bad as shape they were, they still had a place to go. They were still better than the kids they were buying the gifts for. It was an interesting...
That's nice, yeah. Right.
That everything wasn't always just dollars and cents, and it wasn't just it wasn't just drinking and drugs in those days.
Right.
There wasn't, during this time of year, there was a sense of giving, and people willingly did this.
No, and by the way, again, it's very appropriate this time of year to recall and remind everybody as well. Again, I know when I was growing up, and I'm sure with you too, Bazzo, the New York Times every holiday season has neediest,
Yes.
and they would list families, neediest families, and what they could use, what you could donate to them, which it's a great, great tradition that a newspaper like the New York Times has upheld all these years. It's like basically New York's, I think it's only for the New York region in their case, but New York's neediest cases that they list every week. I think it's usually every Sunday they'll list more cases. And we also want to remind you that in our viewing audience, A&P and ShopRite are sponsoring donations that when you go and shop, other supermarkets are doing this, but in our viewing audience, it's really A&P and ShopRite that are relevant to where you all shop and we shop. So you can pick $1, $3, or $5 chits, so to speak, and when you check out, they'll add that to your payment, and the $1, $3, or $5 goes to people, the neediest people, to feed the underfed or the underprivileged. So if you do shop at those places, you might want to think about that, or even if you don't shop there, maybe during the holiday season you want to go and make that donation.
Now, starting tomorrow, you're going to start seeing the movie It's a Wonderful Life ad nauseum,
Yeah, right,
till you
right.
want to gag yourself with a spoon. And this is another propaganda. And I'm going to set you straight with the real moral of the movie of It's a Wonderful Life is.
Which you've written about in your column.
Yes, I have.
Yes.
It is nice to have all those lots of little friends and poor friends that came and gave you the nickels and dimes to help you out of your trouble. But you still need one rich friend to bail you out. Because the little friends only were able to amass $600 for George Bailey. It was Rainwhite that gave him the $25,000 check that saved his bank. And always remember, poor friends are nice, but rich friends are better.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it. Although, isn't it true that our incumbent president got elected largely on the strength of very small donations through social media and
No,
things like
actually, he got elected.
That's not true?
Actually, he got elected through messing up with through the internet and
Messing up?
messing around with the internet and playing around with these unnamed donations that actually came from places they shouldn't have come
But
from.
isn't it true? Isn't there some kind of the law or the guideline? If it's $100 or less, you don't have to.
That's how they.
You don't
played.
have to identify the donor,
right,
right?
but that's how they played the game. They made sure they gave them it small enough, and they couldn't track where they went. They were getting. I didn't want to talk about politics.
But that's okay,
today.
right? Okay.
I mean,
We'll talk about it on the next show.
I mean, we already. Right? I mean, if we want to serve up Obama's Thanksgiving turkey, I'm all in favor of it.
Right. But speaking of Thanksgiving, as you know, I'm into my little. Fitness thing these days, where I go to the gym a lot and I like to watch everything I eat. Do you think that because that happens to be a little bit of or a lot of a national trend, that it's affected what stores are able to sell for Thanksgiving? In other words, people, a big thing with weight control is portion control. That's what they tell you, and it's very true. I mean, I eat like 6 little meals a day. I don't have big meals, and I don't eat a large meal late at night, because it's really just the opposite. You should eat your big meal in the morning. So I'm wondering, on a holiday like Thanksgiving, which is all about gorging yourself, if people are actually buying less food at the supermarket for Thanksgiving, or buying smaller turkeys.
If they're buying less, it's because of the money. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I tell my customers the same thing: you're not getting out of this life alive. And if you've got to sacrifice so much pleasure just to keep going.
Well, so you're telling me gorging yourself is pleasure? I mean, yes, to some extent it is, but then you're not thinking about the consequences when you're sick.
No, I'll tell you what the consequences of living older. The older you live, the more of a chance you have of dying of something debilitating and suffering. See, like fat people like me, we die of a heart attack in our sleep. You're going to live, you're going to wrinkle, and you're going to suffer from something terrible because you want to live longer than me. But no, actually,
what a wonderful Thanksgiving. What a wonderful Thanksgiving sentiment.
I mean, think about it. Bob Hope lived to be 100. George Burns lived to be 100. In the last 10 years of their life, the nurse was wiping the drool off the chin. Sinatra lived to be 82 and had an active, vibrant life right up to the end. If I got to go, I want to go at 82 with a quality of life, not the nurse wiping the drool off my chin.
But that's sort of a vicious cycle, because the reason they're drooling is because they have a nurse. Anyhow, forget it.
No, it's just that...
I don't want to go into it any more detail than that.
What I'm trying to say is that life is important, and I agree life is important. But if you don't have a quality of life, I mean, when my...
No, I totally. Oh, and I'm glad you're saying that. Go ahead, Wes. Then I'll have. I have something to riff on.
Because you know this. You went through this with my father's death, and the month before he died, he had a choice of getting a pacemaker or not getting the pacemaker. But if he went and got the pacemaker, the anesthesia would have advanced his Alzheimer's and he would have come out with the pacemaker, but not knowing who his family was. And if he didn't have the pacemaker, then the closing notice was posted and he had up to about maybe 6 months to live. And my father chose not to have the operation because he did not want to die not knowing who his wife was, my mother is, and his kids were. So he died a month later after this choice. But he died with my mother there, knowing who he was, who his wife was. And if you got it, that's the way to go. You don't want to go like your life didn't matter. That's the cruelest joke that can happen, that you value hanging on so much that you don't know what you're hanging on for.
No, I mean, no, it's a very valid sentiment and observation, Bazzo, and I know a little bit of what you're saying without getting into it right now, but when we lost Harrison, which was the day after he had his third heart surgery, and the day he had his third heart surgery, by coincidence, was my birthday. But yeah, there were a few moments there when we thought he was going to maybe be put on life support by the surgeon, and he happened to pass. He never got to the point of life support, but we did think a little bit about how would that have been, like you're saying, for him, for his family. So I know exactly what you're saying. And actually, I want to, with the time we have left, I think it would be appropriate for us individually, I don't know if you thought about it, but I've thought about it sitting here, give thanks, in our own way. So just segueing from what I just said, I know in our case, or in our family's case, we do give thanks that we had a son, Harrison, for 15 years who, we were blessed by, and, he was, I call Harrison, and I always will, the most remarkable person I'll ever meet. He happened to be a dwarf, he did remarkable things in his life, and I like to feel I'm a better person because of him. And even now, he passed away 8.5 years ago, he's still giving in his own way, he's still giving, and so we give thanks for that, for my daughter, Alyssa, who's a senior in Oneonta and is doing great in school. She's going to be a great elementary school teacher. We already can tell that, and the students already love her when she's student teaching. And of course, for my beautiful and very, very caring wife, Elise, who is my rock. I couldn't ask for a better mate than her.
Well, she earned away in heaven putting up with you.
Yeah, I know. I've actually said to her the other day, I don't know why you put up with some of my shtick, but thank goodness you do. So that's my thanks.
It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it.
As well as for the rest of my family, my brother Robert and his family, my in-laws, Roz and Bud, Dr. Middleman and Rosalind Middleman. I just give thanks for having what I have. I'm happy to have what I have.
Well, I'll tell you, and you got to understand.
Yeah.
You got to understand. When I was in the nightclub business, I was part of the scene, was the drinking, the drugs, and all this, and I hang around with a lot of people that we had we were young and reckless and foolish and having a lot of fun. But I would talk to these people that would with me that were doing this, and all these had their tales of woe, or a battered family, or abandoned, or abused, and I'm saying to myself, I feel terrible.
Yeah, right.
My parents loved me. They stayed married till I died. My friends loved me. I was never hit on by my teachers, my school bus driver. I was never abused. I did drugs and drank because I liked it. I was in a minority. I couldn't blame anybody. And if I ever did an autobiography, it would be I always had shoes. And if there's something to be grateful for, it's the life that I was given and the environment my parents brought me up in, that I really only have to read about the tragedies in life. I've never really had to be part of them firsthand. And for that, I'm grateful for the people that love me, because without that, it would be no fun being me.
That's right. And it is a lot of fun knowing you and being your friend, by the way.
Likewise, Bruce.
It's one of the delights of recent years that we've gotten to be such good friends. And by the way, on behalf of Bazzo and myself, we want to give thanks, many, many, many thanks to Carla Chase and Frank Rich.
Absolutely.
For producing the show. For Penny Saver and for allowing us to come into your living room.
Then the audience, we have to, without our readership, our audience that watches, we'd be nothing. These were my opinions. You may beg to differ.
And when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Go shopping in 2 hours.